Yeah. Yeah, that fire in that. House fire in that. Reed Road. No,
Where?
Reed Road, up by Wayne's.
Barry's old place.
Oh, really? No kidding. Is that bad?
He says they saved most of it.
Huh.
It's an old place,
Oh, is it?
Old chimney, probably.
real old.
So
I
24.
remember riding in town truck with my father and stopping there.
Which house was
They
it?
changed a bit.
White House on the right-hand side?
Like the first house?
I don't think it's just the first
Second.
one. Yeah.
On the
No.
right
Right in
hand
the
side?
corner of Walker Road and
Right.
Reed Road.
Oh.
The first one is what they used to call bungalow.
What do they call it now?
Still call it bungalow, it's just new now.
It's a new bungalow? All right, I think we're close enough here. So let's call the meeting to order on Monday, April 15th at 6 PM. A motion to adopt, and welcome everybody, by the way. Adopt the agenda. We need a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Can we make an correction?
Yeah, sure, I'm sorry, I didn't realize it.
Number 9, typo. Set date for first public meeting.
Oh,
Thank you, Al.
okay.
Good job.
Okay, we have 2 minutes. Has everybody read both the special meeting and the regular meeting?
Well, the special meeting's a bit wordy. I have read all of them.
Well, I mean, do you want to postpone it till next time, or do you want to do, it's up to you.
What I read looked good, but maybe it's too all.
I wanted to put in there everything that was relevant to the decisions that were made at the end. That's why I put it.
So, I mean, if there's no objection, we can approve it. I read it, it's okay. I don't see any glaring errors on it, so. But if everybody's unhappy with it, so.
I read through it, I feel comfortable moving to approve it.
All right, so we need a motion to adopt both the April 1st minutes and the April 8th minutes, special meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All right, any additions or corrections to the April 1st?
Yeah,
Okay,
number 10. It says Al Sam's mad. The motion, it should be made a motion.
okay. Were you mad at it?
No.
You may have been.
That's why I asked how to correct it.
Okay, any other additions or corrections to the minutes of the 1st? Okay, so let's have a motion to approve the minutes of Monday, April 1st.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Say aye. Any opposed?
I abstain.
Okay. Okay, now we'll deal with the 8th, the special meeting, which was an exciting meeting. Too bad you missed it, Stan. It was exciting.
I feel real bad.
Josh could have saved the day, I think. Anyway, are there any additions or corrections to those?
Question,
Sure.
where it says for the select board at 8:17 PM, is that correct? The correct time?
That was the time you announced,
That's the correct time?
Yeah.
but the town did,
Yeah.
Okay,
that's quarter of 10.
Yeah,
okay, I wasn't sure.
yeah, no. No, I looked at the school clock, and that's when it was.
Okay.
Are there any comments or additions or corrections to the minutes? I think, I read them, I think that it's a good representation of what took place. So if that's the case, motion to accept.
So moved.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I abstain.
Okay.
Can I say
Yeah.
something?
Sure.
I want to thank all the people who stayed afterwards, about 20 people. If it hadn't have been, especially Eric and Sandy and the Donalds and the Merrills,
Yeah.
had they not been there to reiterate what was voted on at the meeting, I don't know that you would have got it done.
No,
And I think it's very, very important that it got done. So I think everybody was at both meetings, but I'd like especially to thank them because the school board started to get hesitant and were warned that they were all going to jail, literally, if they signed it, and, but stuck to it when those three couples spoke up, and they spoke up very well. If you watch it on tape, it's really good.
yeah, I saw that, I saw us coming to a stalemate, and that's when I turned to the audience and I said, have any comments? Because I knew that there was probably gonna be some comments, and Bill's absolutely right. I think if it wasn't for a few of those comments, they would not have voted on it that night.
We didn't realize that it was that important to stay. We really didn't.
I mean, well, that's why the bill made the motion, and I seconded it to do it tonight, because it was
Didn't
important.
understand it.
Yeah, it was. But anyway, okay.
Well, I think it was a disadvantage to some in the audience that they didn't have all the history of what was going on.
Okay, the warrants were signed and presented to the select board, and they were approved, so that takes care of that. A highway report, Danny?
We had a few little issues there this morning with all the rain, but nothing, we didn't lose any roads or anything. We got a few culverts that are messed up. But other than that, really everything went good with this rain. We start, hopefully the next 2 days is supposed to be good, try to smooth some of the roads up and watch them get rough at the end of the week with the rain that's coming, I guess.
Oh, it's not so much rain, is there gonna be a lot of rain, I don't think?
It doesn't take much right now, it's soft. Easton is still pretty soft. It's about the only one that we have that has a lot of mud or soft spots left.
I think most of the frost is out, would you say?
Most places, there's a few places in the shade. Hinkley Brook, that won't be out for another month probably up through there. But most places it's out, but, Eastman is probably the softest we have right now. We had a couple culverts down there we had some issues with. The big, I don't know what kind of culvert really is, it's kind of a tube that's been extended with blocks on Otis Road just before you get to Jackie, the Locke's house. That was going over the top and running down the ditch and going through another, but so, I don't know, there's gonna be something up in it, but water's gonna recede before we can even look in that. Up here on Bell Road, up on the end, I think it's collapsed. So we got a few of them around. One up the Bell Road, I think is collapsed. Just with all the rain, they show up in heavy rain. They're handled like normal everyday water. You get heavy rain and then they start plugging up. So there's not really, to try to change a culvert right now is pretty,
No,
it makes a mess. So we have done it before, but we try to just baby them along until things are a little drier.
Bill?
I just, Sam has an issue that he needs to talk to you about, and I didn't give you a message, I don't think, so you need to talk to Sam, he has an issue.
Sam?
That's all.
Oh.
I don't need to deal with it right now.
Oh, okay.
They need to deal with it. I just wanted to, it was in my mind and I forgot it.
Any questions or comments of Danny?
I have a question for Danny. I lose track of the time, but it's between the last meeting we had and this meeting. We got an email from Bill asking the select board to weigh in on purchasing the trailer or having Danny go and look at a trailer. I never saw results. Was I the only one that responded?
Not responded as well.
I responded and I said, no, let's wait for the capital budget.
You guys had to decide. Josh was in favor of doing it. I don't know where you guys stand on it. Hardy Merrill is willing to meet with whomever from the select board, I think 2 of you, and go over the thing, and then, or somebody's gotta find where you guys decided you're gonna go ahead with it and go ahead with it. This is the issue. If we're going to get the excavator, Danny's trying to save the town money by finding a used trailer that is adequate and saves us a ton of money. It costs maybe 1/5 of what, yeah, about 1/4 of.
A new trailer's around 21,000, you can find used trailers for around 5.
Yeah, so he can get 25% of it, and, so the question is, does he, try to close a deal on one of those or not? So, it's a very practical thing. Somebody's got to make a decision where we are on it. I don't know that you're ready to discuss it tonight. I don't think you are because Joe wanted the capital budget chair to weigh in on it and decide what to do.
Why wasn't he invited to the meeting?
Because we're not discussing it.
Why didn't we put it on the agenda to discuss?
Well, put it on the agenda. Let's
Danny
discuss it.
asked for,
Because
asked the question, it seems like we should get an answer for it.
Well, it might need to be on the agenda, and you guys might need to figure out that you've already approved it. I don't know. So you tell me which it is. Does it need to be on the agenda, or have you already approved it? If you've already approved it, which I think you have from the budget,
That's what I think.
okay, then you're done with it, and then you should tell Danny to go ahead. If you need to discuss it somewhere else, then fine.
Well, it
I think
seems
it's
like,
been approved.
it seems like whether we purchase to lease, or rent, regardless of what scenario we carry forward, when there's an excavator to be moved around, we need a trailer, is that?
I bet,
pretty
with
simple?
all due respect, that isn't the question. Have you decided to buy an excavator? How you buy it, whether it's leased or purchased, whether, that is the decision that you make based on economics. But whether or not you decided you want an excavator in the highway department, if that's the answer, then find the best way to do it.
That's not my point.
Right.
My point is regardless of how we finance or what we do, if there's an excavator here and you're gonna move it around town, seems to me you need a trailer to move it.
Okay, so you tell Danny, yes, we decided to buy it, yes, go ahead and look for a trailer. That's all we're looking for, right, Danny? That's all we're looking for.
Yeah, I haven't done much, because I haven't had
Correct.
a yes or no for sure
Well,
what's happening.
my point is for you to ask us, or have Bill ask us, seems like we owe the courtesy to get you a response of one way or another, rather than just let it dangle.
Make a motion.
I make a motion that we proceed with the purchase of the trailer as Danny has suggested, a used trailer, one that he reviews and feels.
If you can find one.
Correct.
I'll second.
Okay, a discussion. I'm not sure that whether we approved it or not. My concern is that when we talked about this last year, was it last year? I guess it was. Was it last year? Well, it's this year, but it was,
This year,
it
early
was
on.
early on. We didn't have a $400,000 bridge to deal with. And so I would like to, I'm not against the excavator or the trailer. My question is, my thoughts is that we should have a meeting with the capital budget, either individually with Danny and two good people, or at a regular meeting, to let him come up with some numbers and how we're gonna finance this $400,000 bridge. Because you have, I mean, it is a number that we just didn't plan on, at least I never anticipated in my own mind. I don't know, maybe the other board members have, I never did. We have $130,000 put away. And that's my only concern.
I think if you read the town report and what was in there, in the section from the capital budget committee and what the voters voted on, we've already moved in that direction by the voters' vote.
Well, the voters only approved the capital budget. It's up to the select board to spend the money.
I understand.
So, yes, they approved the whatever it was,
But the-
$45,000.
But the last meeting, when I brought it up, I was told that we have to go back and talk to the capital budget. It's like, I talked to Hardy. Hardy says no, once the capital budget, is prepared and approved by the voters, then it's up to the select board to decide how they spend that money,
Yes.
or don't spend that
That
money.
is correct.
That we do not need to go back to them for another approval. The approval was made at town meeting.
I don't need, I'm not suggesting you go back for another approval. I'd like to hear them how they're gonna finance this $400,000 bridge. And it might not be $400,000, it could be $500,000 by the time they get around to it. You know?
My point, that's exactly my point. That might be 10 years from now.
I know, and it might be 10
You
years from now.
don't, you don't develop the property, they have no idea. We're gonna discuss when we're gonna meet with them, but they have no idea when they're gonna build it, so I don't even know how you save money and what your schedule is for saving money to build it.
Carry the discussion a little bit farther is, all right, so say we don't go ahead and we do not lease to purchase, because we wanna save money for the bridge, then instead of a lease to purchase, which at the end of how many years would we own? 5? Instead of a lease to purchase and to own it in 5 years, then we will continue to rent. You're still gonna spend the money. I don't see how that's saving us any money towards the bridge.
I think, in my opinion, I think we're wise to move forward with the purchase of not only the trailer, but the excavator, because we have, is it 2025 we're required to meet all the requirements for better back roads with the ditching?
All those, high priorities.
So, I mean, we have that alone, plus looking at saving money on rentals on, culvert replacement, obviously not box culverts, that's something we'd bid out, but I think we're wise to move forward with the trailer purchase, because I think we are heading in the direction of the excavator purchase, and this is something that, looking at buying this used is something that would never be discussed in a town just a couple miles over, and the thought of saving 3/4 of the price of a new one for something that probably will never leave town, other than, if by chance it has to go for service somewhere, I think is a wise decision.
Bill?
We bring in, last year, $36,000 unbudgeted money, as far as I know, not in the budget. To 8,000 plus, so really 17,000 there, more than $8,000 in better roads, and another 18,600 from grants and aid. So every year the potential is for a significant amount of money, and we do that more. In the way it works out, we do those jobs more efficiently if you have an excavator, and if you we have enough dam work to do during the summer, besides all this work. And the more efficiently they can do this work, the better off. It's probably, according to people I talked to, 4 times more efficient than using the backhoe. It goes that much faster. And so I think that you've already, in the past, you've already talked about the excavator. I know there's a criticism. But you need the excavator to get the job done by 2025. That needs to be done. Some people say we're going too fast. Some people say, what good is it that the mud's gonna fill it in? Yeah, don't keep repeating the same thing. We know all that. But the state is saying right now, we need to do it by 2025. The more we get done, the more we're ahead of the curve, the more money is out there. Because once 250 towns start doing it, finally wake up and start doing it, it's not gonna be 8,600, 9,000, 8,600.
18,500.
It's gonna be, or 18,500 for GIA, or 8,600 for the better roads things. So altogether some $30,000. It's gonna be 15 maybe for the whole thing together, because they won't have the money to do it. We're way ahead, and we keep getting it, as long as we keep getting it. And that's gonna pay, that'll pay for the thing, just these last 2 years, that's over $70,000. Between this year and next year, $70,000 we're gonna have that we wouldn't have. And it's not in the budget. This isn't budget money, this isn't capital fund money, this isn't anything. This is found money that somehow, and this is another problem we have, and that's what we were talking to Fred Duplessis a couple of months ago, never shows up in the budget. He runs a deficit, but he has $70,000 surplus. How does that make sense? But that's how the budget runs. However Fred wants to run the budget, but it's found money. It isn't as if we're going in the hole to buy this dang thing.
We don't budget any money. We haven't budgeted any money since this Act 46 came out for any of the stones. We've been doing it just on the grants, just the 2 grants.
I just wanna back up a little bit. I thought we had a motion, we're talking about a trailer.
Yeah, we do.
But now we're talking about an excavator.
It's
I
kind
wanna
of
talk about it.
it's kind of all connected.
I understand that, but my point would have been, is I think that trailer is useful for other things, other than if you gotta get concrete block or something like that. I just think it's a useful thing to have around if you and then you pursue the
My
excavator.
thought was the trailer, that my question was about the trailer.
Yes, and I thought we got a motion on the floor having to deal with the trailer, and I think we should stick to that motion. Let's solve that thing, and then we'll talk about the excavator either later or next week or whatever else. We have a motion on the table for the purchase of a hopefully used. My other question is either both the trucks or at least one truck equipped for air brakes?
Both 10-wheelers are.
So they already have the
They're
quick connects and all that other stuff in the
One of them
electrical
we
for,
don't have them on it, we took them off,
yeah,
but yes, they're all plumbed in.
okay, and you got the power for the lights and all that other
Yes.
stuff.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of backing up to it, plugging it in, and you're
Yeah.
good to go.
Last year, when you guys rented it, I let the town use my trailer just to move the machine around.
Yeah.
So the Mike's truck, the older one, is the one that we use.
Yeah, and I think that's the other point, is like Alan was saying, I think that even if you lease, or rent an excavator to move it from point A to point B, to have the trailer here, as well as other uses for it, I think makes sense. So yeah, I'm in favor of buying the trailer, and let's discuss the excavator another
The
time.
reason I asked about the trailer is you have about 5 different companies on excavators. Now, every one of them, if they know you have money appropriated and you're serious about buying an excavator or leasing it or whatever, they will let you demo them. So if you have a trailer, you can move it around town to demo it. Now, if you get 5 different companies and you get an excavator, say, we push it hopefully a week to try one, there's 5 weeks that you get to run someone else's equipment, just fuel. But, I mean, most of them earlier in the year when we talked about it, like, oh yeah, we'll let everybody demo it. I think it was 5 of them I came up with, brand names. There's other ones out there that they use and stuff, and I didn't look at them. But the whole idea is you gotta be able to move it around. Then when we started talking after town meeting to trailer companies, and they were saying how much it was for a trailer, and you look online, whether it's Craigslist or Marketplace, and there's different ones, you can find a decent trailer for around up to like $5,000. The reason I asked the question is if you're buying a trailer from a private sale, you go look at it and then you say, okay, I got a meeting in 2 weeks, I'll be back. Chances are with the construction season coming, it's not gonna be there. So that's why I asked the question, if I find a trailer and I think it's, worth it, I need to be able to tell them that, yes, the town will take it. I realize that 5,000 is a cap, because then you gotta, whether you, void the policy or not, on the bid part of it.
Well, if you're gonna buy a used trailer and you have the funds in the capital budget, you buy it.
Right. But I know we have a bid policy.
Well, you get
anything
what
over
you can overcome that.
5,000, right.
But we have a question, so why don't we call the question and vote on the
Yeah.
trailer?
Call the question.
Okay, so all in favor of buying have Danny look and purchase a used trailer for the excavator and other purposes? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, trailer, go ahead and buy your trailer. All right,
Thank you.
okay, Josh, you have the access, you have the weight permits there?
I do. Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the excess weight permits for Miller Construction, Barrett Trucking, Stevens Property Management, and Carlton Trucking.
And I have all the insurance certificates for all of them.
So all in favor of granting these weight permits and having a bill signed, say aye. Opposed? Okay. The next thing is we have a situation where we need to appoint,
Can we move up, did you wanna move, can we move the Walker Bridge up a little bit for, cause these guys got training after, right? Would that work? Can we just put?
Yeah, sure.
Can we just move where we are now and then move 8
I don't have a
up?
problem with that.
That would be my
The
suggestion.
reason why it's on it is to set a date for the public hearing on the Walker Bridge. And the question comes, do we have it at a regular select board meeting, which they wanted to do it on the 20th, or do we have a special meeting just for the town to hear the trials and tribulations of the Walker Bridge? Personally, I'm not in favor of having a select board meeting and the Walker Bridge at the same time, because the Walker Bridge will probably take an hour or more, and then we have to do business afterwards, and before you know it, it's 10 o'clock at night. I would rather, that's my personal feeling, the board can speak up, but I would rather have them come and call a special town meeting like we did, or a special public hearing, I should say, on the Walker Bridge, so people can make the discussion. Yes, Bill?
As a schedule maker, I am happy to announce that V-Transit has fully agreed to the March 20th date, though we can talk and we can change it. But as we're sitting here right now, I can't tell you when that is. I would prefer, I agree with you. This is gonna be a meeting that's gonna take a lot of time, and in May, and in May, May 20th, and in May, we're gonna have, we may have a lot of business. I would rather you moved the select board meeting, because V-Trans is already committed.
Yeah,
I don't have a problem.
yeah.
That's all.
Are they coming at 6 at night?
And, pardon me?
Are they coming like at 6 at night?
They would come at 6 at night, and they plan to do a presentation with a whole bunch of different people, engineers, et cetera, all these people, fancy people, and present it all to people and answer all the questions, so they can present, they will present costs, and they'll present alternatives, et cetera, that'll all be there. Again, I just say, so that everybody has the same thing in mind, $400,000 today is $4 million, $4 million a day is $8 million next, in 10 years, so you gotta remember that, it isn't, whatever price they give isn't gonna be the price it's gonna be if it's off, some years off, so. And what they're talking about is a new bridge, in case somebody didn't hear, I had a fear that if they built the small bridge and FEMA didn't approve it, we would be stuck with that decision, and that when we wanted to replace a culvert that was way undersized with a $150,000 structure, because V-Trans requires it under the hydraulics and hydrologies after some big storm that wipes out the town, we wouldn't be able to, we would have to build a $150,000 structure, but FEMA would only cover 60, because that would be what it costs to put a 6-foot culvert back in. So that's the dilemma. So we don't want them to build a bridge that's gonna end up costing us millions of dollars in the future. Right. Secondly, the hydraulics and hydrology for the bridge is not right. It isn't just the height, or it may not even be the height, but it's the width. It doesn't carry string bank full straight through. The string bank has to come in and go through. So anyway, they will present the different things, and then the people can have a say in, they can ask them any question they want, and maybe that would be a good time to just get a sense of the people by some sort of a voice vote on who wants to do which of the things, and it may not be that night that you vote on. I can't tell you, I don't know how prepared they're gonna be.
It seems like if they're available on the 20th, we should take advantage of that. Who knows how long it'll be before they can all come together again. What's the possibility that we just move our meeting up and meet at 5 o'clock and do general select board stuff for an hour, and then when they get here at 6 o'clock, either we are done or we recess and then move into the informational part. That kind of, if we can do our business in an hour, we're done with it. Because when you look at the calendar, if you stay on a Monday, well, you're gonna either have back-to-back meetings because you're gonna have one on the 13th. If you move ahead a week to the 27th, that's the traditional. Well, it's not the traditional, but it's the Memorial Day that many people, so.
Personally, I'd rather see you move the meeting to the following Monday. So you have back-to-back, and if there's nothing to have, you just don't have the meeting, period. Rather than, because if you have a meeting at 5 o'clock, and May is gonna be some heavy stuff, I think, that we're gonna have to deal with. And, so then you gotta adjourn, and then you gotta, after the thing is all over, after you've had this presentation for an hour and a half, you're gonna go back to your meeting again. To me, I'd just rather have a fresh day and do it, and that's the way it is, but that's just my opinion.
Well, you said two different things. If you go back to back, that would be moving it up to the 13th.
Either
But
one,
you're talking-
either up or back, either one. It doesn't make any difference. So you have one back-to-back, and if you don't need it, you can always cancel the meeting.
You could also limit the meeting on the same night to what you really need to get done, but not talk about anything else. Don't talk about minutes, don't talk about highway, don't talk about anything that doesn't need to be talked about. You can make it a short meeting just by doing that.
Then, if you want to do that, then I do it at 5 o'clock. And then have your presentation meeting at 6. And then we'll keep the agenda very small, only for emergency stuff. Is that okay with everybody?
I'm not around that week.
Can't do.
I'm off. I'm going to a graduation in Alabama. So I am leaving the 19th and won't be back till like the 29th. But I mean, it's just an informational.
Right.
Correct.
It's just
So
informational.
it's nothing.
Now, I just want to throw something else out to the board. It was suggested by Kim that we have a special town meeting to vote and have an Australian ballot to vote on which option of the bridge we would like to have. In other words, and I'm not in favor of that. And the reason I'm not in favor of it, and obviously you have to make a decision, is that if you had first of all, I think it's complicated. You're gonna have to have a special town meeting, an Australian ballot, people have to vote. It's gonna be very difficult to get 600 residents the information of why. If for some reason or other, they voted for the lesser bridge, and we had to build that, and there was a flood 3 years, or 5 or 10 years later, then the town would be on the hook for millions of dollars to replace that bridge. So, to me, in all the years I've ever been involved with this government, the selectmen have always made their decisions based on sound principle. And if you have an informational meeting and you listen to what the public has to say, then we should be able to make our decision and do it. But if you want to go along with the special town meeting and the Australian ballot, that's okay. We can vote on that and put it.
Well, how
But I would
about,
be remiss if I didn't bring this up.
how about we have the informational meeting, see what we learned? It's not like we have to decide.
No, I understand that.
So.
But
it-
she wanted to
Right.
have the informational meeting and the Australian ballot all the same night.
Oh.
No.
Well, let me just make my notes here.
The problem, okay, just so everybody knows the issue, you can't just have an Australian ballot on the bridge. You have to have 2 meetings. To have an Australian ballot on anything, you have to have a meeting at which you vote aye or no, or you stand up and you count the numbers around the thing, to say this issue is gonna be by Australian ballot. Then you warn the then you have a 30-day warning for the meeting at which you're gonna vote on Australian ballot, okay? So, if you were gonna do it the efficiency way, the efficient way would be to have a meeting that night, at the end of that meeting, decide that. But you don't have to do that. It's just that if you're going to put it up to the vote of the people, then it has to be, you have to have 2 meetings, and the idea was maybe that have it the same night. But after talking with other people today, I think the thing to do is let's find out what the heck it is.
Yeah, that was my.
If everybody if 70, 80 people show up and they all agree that they want this bridge, then it wouldn't seem to be necessary to put it to Australian ballot. But that would be up to you then.
But it seems like regardless, we have time. I mean, it's not like it's gonna happen next week.
But that was my
Week
feeling.
after.
We don't even know, let's wait until we have the information, that was my feeling.
We can almost wait till next town meeting.
Yeah.
The amount of time that-
There's really no reason to do
The
that.
amount of time that this is gonna take, we can
Exactly.
actually put it on Australian ballot, if in fact we wanna do that, and
Even if you're gonna have numbers for next year.
yeah, exactly.
Right.
All right,
I
so,
mean, yeah,
so do we need a motion to change the date of the selectmen's meeting at 5 o'clock, or could we just do it?
Just a motion to meet early on May 20th at 5, that's all.
All right, somebody want to,
I think you ought to have that bridge meeting in the school.
yeah, at the
We'll
school.
be.
Oh, yeah, we'll be at the school. Yeah, not here.
So it'll be 5 o'clock at the school.
Yes, somebody want to make a motion to that effect? That we
Mr.
have our
The
selectmen's meeting?
informational meeting will be at 6.
Yes, and the information meeting at 6.
Right.
Mr. Chairman,
Second?
oh, you made it?
Go ahead.
you got it.
Either one.
Go for it, I'll second it.
Okay, so we got that, the selectmen's at 5 o'clock, informational meeting at 6.
Okay, and who made the motion?
Alan made the motion.
Al made it, I second.
And Josh seconded.
All right.
All right, can we move on now?
Good vote.
Oh, yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Now we got it.
All right, now we can go back to the order. If you remember, we wrote a letter to Cynthia asking her to, not to resign, and she just declined. And I have a letter here dated August 5th from Kate Mulrap that she would like to continue to be the town auditor, and she is the only one who has applied.
You forgot. In between time, there was the notice.
Oh, yeah, and we had the notices out, and we asked the people to, if anybody wanted to do it, and she's the only one who's come forward.
Who was the, I'm sorry, I didn't hear, who was it called?
Kate
Kate
Mulrap, she has,
Oh,
if you
She's done.
remember, Kate missed the deadline to file her petition.
oh, right, okay.
So Cynthia filed it, she got elected unanimously, and she's declined. So Kate would like to now fill the vacant position. So, do we need, somebody want to make a motion to, I guess, appoint Kim?
I'll make the motion that we appoint Kate Mulrath for,
To fill out the, is it for the whole
No,
term?
no. You're going
For the year.
to nominate her to, I mean, you're gonna appoint her to fill out that position, that third position, the auditors, until next town meeting, at which time the rest of the 2 years will be filled. It needs to be stated, because we're not voting for 3 years, it's a 3-year position, but in town hall, town meeting, we're only doing 2 more years, so. So to fill the position till,
For 1 year.
till town meeting,
Right.
yeah.
At which time, if she wants to, she could run for the other 2 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Who made the motion?
I did.
Okay, second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Get that with Stan and Josh?
Yes.
All in favor of appointing Kate Mulrod for 1 year to fill the vacant auditor's position? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, Joe, you'll take care of it, with Kate, and with whatever tomorrow. all right? The school. Bill wanted to put this on, so an update. I know most of you know that the court denied the petition. As I read it, and you know, I'm not an attorney, but he didn't deny everything, and he made a motion, or he made a gesture, or in an article, that he expected it to go to the appellate court, and so there's hope, I guess. So anyway, Bill, what you want to do about the school? Anything?
Oh, just wanted to make sure everybody knew that the town owns the town voters own the property,
Yeah.
and leased it back to the school for the same terms as they have always had it. It's just that they have a leasehold interest instead of an ownership interest, and the reason for doing that is to keep it from going to the new district, and therefore the voters of the electors of Grafton losing complete control over it, because ownership of school property is by law is the authority of the voters, and in the new district, if it is formed the way the continued plan, we'd be outvoted. Who knows? They have 3,000 people, so I think they had 2,000 voters, something, 1,800 voters, something like that, Kim told me, to our 300 or so. So they could have outvoted us and done whatever they wanted with the property. So I'm really happy that, that at the end of the meeting that the school board did decide to transfer it to the town and take the lease back, all of which was negotiated by Robin Stern for us and by Larry Slason for them. And I'm just happy for the town. The town has owned that from 1866. Always thought of it as the town's property, though it was school district property. But school district and town were the same people, and I'm glad it's going to stay here. That's all I wanted to say.
Any other comments? Yes?
I would like to thank the select board for taking the initiative in proposing this and getting ahead of the curve on this school transaction. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
You can go to court with us.
I'm happy to.
Or to jail.
I'm happy to.
Okay, the next item is the health officer. Al and I were supposed to meet with Jay Carpin last week. Jay had an unfortunate accident and broke a rib. So he's not available, he wasn't available for us to meet with him. We're waiting on his condition, and we will probably, Al and I will probably end up having a phone meeting with Jay to deal with the issues of the health officer as was presented, that was raised by Kathy Ciano. So there's nothing more we can do until he's ready.
Oh, well, he doesn't live in town anymore.
No, he lives in
doesn't
Grafton.
have, I know, but he doesn't have to be somebody in town.
I don't think so. I don't think that's a requirement.
No.
No, it's, our guy,
State ends up approving who it is in the end.
yeah, I'm trying to think, our planning commission guy who lives in Walpole.
Chuck.
Chuck would be the health officer for Rockingham.
And he lives in New
He
Hampshire.
lives in New Hampshire.
Reese, what is his name?
The only thing is, Bill, what is the deadline?
That's the biggest problem. The deadline is the 30th. I'm not gonna be here from the 23rd to the 3rd of May. Okay, so, it's the 30th. There's paperwork to be filled out. It's very simple if you guys decide, and that's why I wanted him there. You guys could all fill out the paperwork. It has to be signed in front of a notary, so Kim could have done it. This has to be done by the 30th.
30th of April.
30th of April. And health department has called, and I explained it to them. They called and said, well, we all have all this paperwork done, we're ready to send it to him. And we said, wait a minute, I called you and told you we're not ready yet. So, then the purpose of the meeting is to find out, and Kathy is concerned, to make sure that all the requirements of the new law are gonna be met by Jay. And he tells me they will be, and that may require more than the stipend you have for him now, so he's gotta tell you what he'll do it for, and then and that's what makes it more complicated. You guys are gonna have to somehow have the authority, and maybe that's what you guys do tonight, give them the authority to make an agreement with him, or appoint him, but that's probably the better way. Appoint him, but without an agreement onto the work to be done until sometime in May, because you gotta have meet on that. And I don't know if it's significant, because I don't know, I have no idea what he intends to do. You can be proactive, and the law wants you to be proactive as health officer, that is, go out and find the rental units and check them to see if they meet all the health requirements. Or you can be reactive, which is what most health departments have, most town health departments have been in the past, and that is when somebody who has rented a piece of property files in complaints, or you have a septic system flowing out into the road or something like that. You know, that's the type of.
So I don't feel, I'm sure Alan feels the same way. I wouldn't feel comfortable negotiating his pay without the select board.
Okay, so the biggest thing is for you to find out what he wants to do, and then the select board discuss what
So-
you're gonna pay.
Just for a little more discussion, what happens if we don't get it done by the 30th?
I know.
Or
I don't know.
Or what happens if he says, I'm happy doing the kind of basic service he's been doing, but doesn't wanna do the more advanced service that the new law requires. And so we agree that, or he agrees, he doesn't wanna continue at this more advanced level.
I guess we find it helpful.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out what happens. So if that happens,
Then we
does
have.
that mean we have a turn,
Okay,
could
then
have a period of time without a active
Yeah,
health officer?
and I have, there's somebody who's willing to do it, so we can
Okay.
talk to that person at that time. And, other than all of you going to jail until there's appointed, I don't think there's any big, any big thing. No, I have no idea what they're gonna do.
Whole part.
I don't either.
Hope our sentences are concurrent.
We'll just
It's
keep,
something to
I'll
check.
make sure that Bill keeps, try to set a phone date and then we can, and we can do a conference call or something if you're, not available.
And I think you need to talk to him about that.
Yeah, we do,
Yeah.
absolutely.
He's always been, whenever I've had an issue come to me that I've called him on. Now, I wasn't involved in all of them, but that I know about. Everyone that he has responded to, because I called him the next day and he got it done. So that's all I can say.
Okay. Anything more on health office?
After the meeting, we should get together with Bill and give him some dates that we have available that we could do the phone call.
I don't have my calendar with me, but I'm here, so I'm not going anywhere, I mean, I may be.
Why don't we tentatively planned on next Monday, because that's my last day before I go.
Doesn't work for me.
How about, well, you're gonna be in the office on Thursday. Can you come on Thursday?
This Thursday?
Joe, can you come in on Thursday?
Think so.
Okay, I'll try to get hold of him, see
I
if we
can
can
do
do
that.
that Thursday.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I can, I don't know, yes, but I don't know about time, I don't know if I
Okay.
have my calendar.
Okay, I'll ask Jay.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's next Thursday, right? This Thursday.
This Thursday.
Thursday, the 18th.
Okay, we already did the Walker Bridge. Bill and I have talked, and we'd like to have approval to set Monday, June 10th as the first public hearing on the town plan.
You good with that?
If nobody has any objection, then we'll go forward, and that'll be, we have to do the formal notification and advertising and everything else.
So that would be a Monday, but it would not be our traditional.
No, this would be-
It would be a separate meeting from the
Yeah.
select board.
It's a public hearing, it will be a separate public hearing. So if that's okay, then Bill will proceed to get paperwork
I
ready.
need a motion for the date.
Yeah,
I make a motion, we have a public hearing for June 10th for the first hearing on the new town plan.
second?
Second.
Are we doing that at the school at what time?
Yes, probably at the school, yeah. I don't know, what time do you wanna do this? You wanna do this, gotta be in the evening, right? So it's gotta be, what, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 7?
I wouldn't set it at 7.
I'd say
Six.
6.
We do everything.
6?
6 o'clock.
We have to lease the school.
Yeah, I think you checked, it, Bill checked the date, I think, with the school, and it's available.
We're not, we said we own it.
Oh, that's right. Any public comment? Do you have any public comment tonight?
No school today.
Oh, go ahead. Well, you want to do the public comment or other business?
I do other things.
Any public comment? Okay. Other business now?
So when are we gonna talk, we settled the trailer. When are we gonna talk about the excavator?
I put it on the agenda next meeting. Okay?
I also asked, I sent an email to Danny, to you, to Bill, and to Kim. And I asked for somebody to do a little more research on something I found out called the source well. When towns purchase equipment, they can purchase and get contracts at a cheaper rate than a contractor would buy equipment. But on top of that, or less than that, there's this thing called Sourcewell that started in Minnesota, and it's a service provided for government agencies where they if you go through Sourcewell, the town can actually purchase equipment less than the salesperson would bid. So it may only save 1 or 2% on what their normal bid they would offer, but for a piece of equipment, 1 to 2%, this seems like it's worth investigating. And so I would like to ask Bill if you would investigate that, find out more about it, so that when we have the meeting, the next meeting, we have that information as well.
I know we get what they call state pricing, I don't know if that's the same thing as the Sourcewell or not. And I know when they bought the over the rail mower, we had to go through something with Salem Tractor on the tractor, which I think they did call that Sourcewell, but I'm not.
Well, I just like clarification. I
Yeah,
heard
let's find out.
I heard about it, and it just seems like it's worth
Let's see if we.
finding out.
Hey, if we can save 2 or 3%
Yeah.
on $150,000, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
We get it on, I know we get, they price it on all our fire, like our tires, everything we buy is a lot cheaper than anybody off the street can buy.
You may buy tires at that price less than people buy recaps.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
I think I need to, I would need to check with VLCT to initially, and if they, whether or not they have an opinion, and then if they're fine, we may have to then rewrite our bid policy.
Yeah.
I do know there are other towns in Vermont that are using Sourcewell, so whether they check with VLCT or not, I don't know, but I do know it's being used.
Doesn't hurt to check.
Well, we have to, in any case, we have to edit the bid policy, because the bid policy doesn't allow for Sourcewell, so we have to edit that in any case.
Okay.
Okay. Any other business?
But it's a really good idea if it works.
Well, I just think it's worth exploring.
Danny, the pole that got hit by Ledge Road back 2 months ago, is GMP responsible for picking that up eventually?
It's supposed, I don't know if it's GMP or if it's actually the telephone company.
Okay.
Most of the time, the telephone company owns the poles.
Okay.
Maybe Judy at detail.
I'll try.
Yeah, those pieces are still, it was good during the winter.
Nobody has any use for those. They're really nice looking poles, except for the ones kind of frayed at the bottom.
Okay. Is there any other
They could
business?
just be gone.
Okay, the next meeting is May 6th here at the garage at 6 p.m. And can we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, have a nice week.
Just somewhere.
Happy Easter, everybody.